So I have a question for you.
All right.
All right. So a lot of games were released this past week. Of course, God of War Ragnarok, I think, is the main game. But we're not going to talk about that shit. No. We're going to talk about a game compilation that came out this week called Atari50. And yeah, a compilation disc, a game compilation is nothing new. It's really nothing to celebrate, really. It's just a reason to sell back ROMs to you. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is I've been reading up on Atari50, and I'll be honest with you. I am not a fan of Atari games. I like a few Atari games, but I'm not a big fan of Atari. I didn't grow up with it. I grew up with NES. But watching some of the stuff in this Atari compilation is fascinating. And what they did is not only are you able to play games from Atari's past, they also have a plethora of documentaries, interviews, and all sorts of other promotional items, news stories, like all sorts of stuff that highlight the history of Atari. Zero, my question is this. I thought about this when I saw this. And I thought a good question to ask you is this. What game series or anything do you feel should get the Atari 50 treatment?
One of the ones that's very high on my list would be a lot of the Quintet and Enix RPGs, and maybe even some of Square Enix's, or excuse me, Squaresoft, some of the early Squaresoft games that are in their back catalog that they just never seem to remember or leverage. So stuff like, your Treasure Hunter G's, your Bahamut Lagoons, and do a insane mega compilation. Just having stuff like Illusion of Gaia, Terra Enigma, Soul Blazer, ActRaiser 1 and 2, list goes on. Just do something like that, subcontracted to Digital Eclipse, if Square doesn't want to do the work in-house, and just have them do this mega like Criterion Collection style treatment of the games. Show off design docs. Just maybe try to get Japanese transcripts of interviews with some of these studios and producers, directors and stuff like that, because likely magazines like Famitsu probably have archives of interviews with these folks, and then pay somebody to help localize and translate the articles into English. That way, just the English-speaking public can kind of read these interviews that they may not have been aware even existed. So, just would love to see that from the Square Enix camp of things. Just a nice sort of mega collection of some of these games that they just have seemed to have forgotten. Thankfully, they have remembered the Secret of Mana stuffs, because we got the collection of Mana stuff recently. But
yes,
yeah, I would love to see kind of a Enix Quintet Squaresoft from the archives sort of mega collection of the games that they just kind of shoved to the back of the vault and have long forgotten, and just make a crazy mega collection. I think it would be really freaking cool.
All right, so you went like obscure. You went like, okay, that is interesting. It would be interesting to me. I think there were other Square games that, of course, the Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games, that I think would make fantastic collections. Of course, they'll end up just selling them all piecemeal. That's just how they roll. So I think that might not be a bad idea. I'm gonna go the Mario series. I'm gonna go Mario 1, 2, 3, World, and Yoshi's Island. And I think it would be interesting to listen to Shigeru Miyamoto talk about all these games before he retires. Like, do a special collection. Call it a Miyamoto collection, where it is a limited time run that you put those games in there, but it's chock to the brim of interviews with people that were into localizing or doing the marketing in the U.S. and Japan. Speak to Miyamoto at length about these games. The design docs, everything. I think this would sell really well and it would be fascinating to watch. It is a shame that Iwata is gone and wasn't able to have something like this, because I think he would have been fascinating to listen to when it came to all this. But I think that would be something I think that not only I would be interested in, but I think would sell. Another property that I think would make a fascinating documentary, the Tomb Raider series.
Oh yeah, that would be a great one, especially for anyone who is really curious on the lineage and everything.
I mean, any game that was able to have a Playboy spread should make a fascinating documentary.
Yeah.
That's the one that got a play. What's that? Blood Rain. Was it Tomb Raider or Blood Rain that had the Playboy spread?
I think it was Blood Rain.
Huh.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Tomb Raider was the rumor of the nude code.
Yeah.
You never saw anything nude, but for some reason, the developers who made Blood Rain thought it was a good idea to make a nude spread of fucking Blood Rain. Good lord. But yeah, I think, and Tomb Raider is an interesting property. I don't like the games particularly. I like the remakes, but I understand why people enjoy the old ones and why Lara Croft was a very influential and very interesting character around that time. And I would love to see a documentary or a roundtable discussion with the developers, journalists, historians over Tomb Raider and its importance. Like, I don't like the old Tomb Raider games, but I'd actually buy that just to see that stuff. And that's what I really thought the Atari50 was interesting, because I looked at it and goes, I kind of want to buy this to watch all this stuff. I didn't, because I'm not going to play the games, so I'll buy it like when it's at the price of a DVD. But I thought that was fascinating, and that's something that I think more companies should do to honor its legacy, is to show everything they did to make that game and that game series the way it is, and how it started, how the idea came across, why this is this way, and then forward on to. Any other things that you can think of?
Uh, this is me speaking purely just because I hate what the video game collectors market has become,
Mm-hmm.
but I would love, love, love to see a Legend of Zelda just mega collection sort of, either a Switch cartridge or whatever their next console ends up using, just mega collection that has like the original NES or Famicom disk system ROM on it, which, for anyone who doesn't know, the Famicom disk system version of the game actually has better music, because
Yes.
the Famicom disk version of it actually has high quality audio files on it. So the music and stuff sounds so different compared to the NES cartridge that we got here in the West. But then to also have compilation on this mega compilation, just other stuff in there. So classics like Link to the Past, Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance games, the DS games, the N64 Ocarina of Time, and then the master level edit of all the dungeons and stuff, Jor's Mask, and just go completely freaking bonkers with this thing. I mean, I would love to see that, mostly because of the fact that the GameCube Anniversary Collection disc is now so exorbitantly expensive now, and that it's pretty much just a collector's curiosity at this point.
Yeah.
And I think the worst part of it is I had my disc completely stolen out from under my nose, and it's one of the few video gaming possessions that I would love to get back. That and Actually, I can't say that I'm looking for that anymore because I recently bought it a while ago. But Thunder Force 5 for PlayStation 1 was another one of my precious video game memories that I recently bought earlier this year. That
Nice.
was stolen out from under me. I paid way too much for it, but I'm just happy to have it.
Yeah. I would not mind to get the Zelda series on one cartridge and have a bunch of documentaries. I think the key thing here is that I want the documentary stuff. I want the supplements that Atari
Yeah.
50 has. That's the key thing. Because if we get that stuff, I'd be super happy to rebuy these older games that I have. Like if they turn around, because I still have Bushido Blade 1 and 2. I still have Vagrant Story. If they would have turned around and did a Vagrant Story remaster with all that special features and documentaries, I'd buy it for $60. I'd have no problem doing that. So, yeah, like, I think this right here is how they should do compilations and do these remasters. Like, celebrate the game that you are remastering. Give us the reasons why this deserves to be lionized like this. Why it deserves to have this type of remaster, or it deserves to have this compilation disc, and explain why it's so important. Don't just fart out the ROMs and put some pretty art on there. Do what these guys did with Atari 50, because this was fantastic, and I really
Yeah.
want to support it when the money is right.
Yeah, Digital Eclipse is some people have gone to kind of call them the video gaming industry's version of the Criterion Collection, and I would say that that's kind of apt on that comparison because I think it was sometime either last year or 2 years ago. The Samurai Showdown collection was one of the freebies that was given away on the Epic Game Store,
Mm-hmm.
and that one was actually completely remastered by Digital Eclipse, and it has a whole bunch of design docs and and a whole bunch of like really cool things for just the hardened Samurai Showdown fan and everything. Unfortunately, they didn't have anything like interviews or anything like that, but just the fact that it basically came with like this mega art book, proverbially, just in the game, I thought was really cool for anyone who's just a stone nut for the Samurai Showdown stuff. My top choices would be just a Zelda Mega Collection or a Square Enix From the Vault Forgotten Titles Mega Collection of just some of their smaller and obscure stuff.
Okay. All right. Thank you for listening to this podcast segment. The Capital Games podcast is done every week, and we post it on all your favorite podcast apps, as well as segments on YouTube. If you want to listen to another segment, you can listen to a new one right there on the screen. We also do a movie podcast called the Capital Games Movie Club. If you'd like, you can go ahead and click on that and see all the movies that we have reviewed from that point. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.